Hey guys. So it is Monday again, and a lot of people dread Monday, right? A lot of people dread Monday. Now, I like Mondays because it gives you a fresh perspective on a new week, right? It makes you think, like, all right, well, today's Monday. I need to get X, Y, and Z done. So now I'm able to do it because it's a new week, right? But when I had a job, I hated Mondays. It was like, Monday again? I got 5 more days at this fucking job that I hate. I'm at my job right now, actually. I'm home and I work from home, right? So Monday is a great way to revamp your goals. Get with your mentor, get with your coach or whatever, and revamp your goals and say, okay, well, this week, what do I want to accomplish? Because you want to get small wins so that you can have big wins. You want to have little small wins every day so that you can have big wins when you do the reflection or by the end of the year. So if you got small wins for 365 days, now the next year or the year ahead, you can look back and say, okay, well, I did X, Y, and Z, and I was able, to create this, or I was able to do this. How many people can look back on their life and say, well, last year I accomplished that. Year before I accomplished that. In 2020, I'm going to accomplish this. In 2017, I accomplished this. What are you doing? Right? See, because every year is supposed to be a progression, right? Most people don't understand that. All they do is on a ship, like a rat race, right? They're on a ship without a rudder. And all they're doing is going like this, real fast, real fast, real fast, real quick, real quick, right? And no one stops and says, you know what? I have to reevaluate my life. Today is Monday. Reevaluate your life today. If your bank account is not how you want it, if your weight is not how you want it, if your health is not how you want it, if your relationships is not how you want it, if your career is not how you want it, sit down today and do some reflection and say, where do I need to be, where I am, and where do I need to be, and where do I need to go? It's very simple, guys. So I'm going to talk about the wealth pyramid, right? So one of the guys that I watch on YouTube, a white guy, and I watch him on YouTube, and he talked about the wealth pyramid. Now, the problem with the wealth pyramid is that it's not enough black people in the wealth pyramid at the top. Okay, it's a lot of white people at the top, and unfortunately, black people are more towards the bottom of the damn pyramid. Okay, so the wealth pyramid starts like this. You're poor, right? You may be on public assistance. You may have, some type of low income, but you cannot progress at the bottom of the pyramid, okay? You cannot progress at the bottom of the pyramid, okay? I'm going to say that very loud and clear. You cannot progress at the bottom of the pyramid. So if you're on public assistance and you're making anywhere, I think it's like $25,000 or $35,000 a year or less, you cannot progress. And the reason that you can't progress is because if you're on public assistance, that means the government is taking care of you. So that means you're not even capable to take care of yourself. So there's no progression there. So you might as well, if you're on public assistance and you depend on the government, you cannot progress because you can't even take care of yourself. So that means the government is taking care of you. So that means you don't even have the capacity to take care of yourself. Okay? So you can't grow. Period. You can't achieve any type of wealth with you depending on someone else to take care of you. Okay? Now, low income. Low income is anything under 35,000, right? Because with 35,000, the government is taking 40% in taxes from you. So if you are low income, that's anything under 35,000. That means you either have a job or you're doing like a side gig or whatever the case is, or whatever, right? Whatever it is. You cannot progress because the government is taking at least 18 grand. The government is taking half of your money, right? The government is taking half of your money. So during the 12 months, even though on paper it may say you made 35,000 at your job or whatever, but you really only brung in about 20 grand, right? 20 grand, it's probably like less than, $1,500 every month. The average rent in New York, California, Miami is 1,500. So you can't get ahead in low income. So there's eight sections, right? So first one is public assistance, where you're dependent on the government. You can't even take care of yourself, so it's impossible for you to get ahead when you have solely someone else that you depend on to take care of you. Low income is hard also. It's even harder to get ahead in low income is because all you're working for is just to pay bills. All you're doing is just working to pay bills. Right? So it's hard to say, all right, well, I'm going to sacrifice my mortgage. I'm going to sacrifice a car note. I'm going to sacrifice the insurance money so that I can get ahead, because that mindset, you're in the scarcity mindset. Okay. See, in the public assistance mindset or the public assistance level, you are thinking in entitlement. Okay, so I don't want to say you're thinking in lack. I mean, because overall you're in turmoil anyway. But you're not really thinking in lack. You're thinking in entitlement. So you're saying to yourself, okay, well, I'm getting everything for free, so I don't have to work for nothing, right? So that's worse. Now, the low income, you're thinking in lack. You're thinking in scarcity. You're in fear because every day there's something new. Every day, you need money for something and you don't have enough. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're trying to, make ends meet. You're trying to, pay this credit card off so that you can get some groceries and you can get some gas and you can pay for your kid's trip. So it's a lot. Right? It's a lot of pressure when you're making under $35,000. This is why people have heart attacks. This is why people have anxiety attacks. This is why people have depression. This is why people are on depression medications and all these different, things, because you're living in lack. Okay. Now, the next level is the third level, right? Where basically you're in debt. Okay, where all you're doing is living paycheck to paycheck. Now, this doesn't mean you're making under 35,000, right? This simply means you're in debt. You don't have enough money to pay your bills. You're always using credit cards to get groceries. You're always using credit cards to pay your bills. Okay, so that's the debt level. Okay, so a lot of people are in that debt level because they're living check to check. You can make 100 grand and live check to check. You could be making 200 grand and living check to check, still using credit cards to, buy, groceries or, to pay a bill or to pay a phone bill, right? So that's the debt. So it's public assistance where you want everything for free. You're entitlement. You never get ahead that way. Low income, anything under 35,000, you're living in lack, you're living in scarcity. You can't get ahead that way because you don't have the mind capacity to think bigger. The next level is debt, where you basically cannot make ends meet, where you're making money at your job, but it's never enough, right? So this can be 100 grand, you could be making 100 grand, at this level, okay? Now, the next level is like an 18-year-old, right? 18-year-old, they have zero net worth and they have zero assets. So an 18-year-old, a child coming out of high school at 18 years old is better off, okay, than a lot of adults right now because they have zero assets, they have zero debt, and they have zero money. So it's like they're starting from clean. A lot of people wish they can go back to wiping the slate clean, right? So this is why I don't encourage you to try to push your child, to go to college just to get in debt when they have a clean slate. 18-year-olds, they got zero debt, they have zero liabilities, they have zero assets, they have zero money. Okay, unless the parent, put up some money for them. But overall, 18-year-olds have nothing. So they're starting with a clean slate. Most people want to be here, right? So 18 years and under, is the next level, right? Where you have zero debt, you have zero liabilities, you have zero money, nothing, right? Your net worth, you have nothing, right? Now the next level is where people have money, right? Where you could be making $100,000 on your job, but all your bills is paid. You're traveling when you want to, okay? You're going to any restaurant that you want to. You're buying what you want to. You got money in the bank. You got money in investments. You got money in CDs, and you sleep well, right? So that's the next level, right? Where you have some money, bills are always paid, and you're not stressed. You're not thinking in lack. You're not thinking, in abundance. So an 18-year-old that has zero net worth can get ahead. Someone that also has money, they also can get ahead. Now, the next group is people who are financially independent. What is financially independent? All your bills are paid all the time, every time, right? Anything that you want, you're able to get. Any place you want to travel, you travel. Any family member or friends or whatever, or a bum on the street needs some money, you're able to give it. You're able to freely give, to charities and churches. So that's a different level. The last level is the top, which is generational wealth, meaning that you were born into wealth, right? That means your mom left you a house, your dad left you a house, your mom left you some land, your dad left you some land. They left you some assets. They left you some, they left you some stocks. They left you, some bonds. They left you some income producing assets. They left you some passive income that you can now live off of, pay your bills on. Okay? So the first level at the bottom is public assistance, where your entitlement, you think everything you're going to get is for free, all right? And you're never able to get ahead. Low income, you can't get ahead because you're thinking in lack, you're thinking in scarcity, you're thinking in fear. So it's hard to get ahead when you don't even have the mind capacity. Then there's a debt level where you're literally living check to check. You can't get ahead because the check comes in and the check goes right out. Now, the next level is where, okay, now you have too much debt, right? And you have, you have credit cards just to pay off or just to pay for food. The credit card just to pay, for groceries, just to pay, for, whatever you need, some tissue in the house, right? So you can't get ahead that way because you're also thinking in scarcity, because you're also thinking in fear, and you're also thinking in lack, and you don't have the brain capacity. Then it's the net worth, the zero net worth. Now you can get ahead here because when you don't have nothing, that means you're at the bottom, right? So that means you have a clean slate and you can go up from there. When you have money, you can continue to grow, right? You can continue to invest in yourself. You continue to go places, right? And then when you're financially independent, of course you can get ahead because now you have the money. You have the money to go places. You got the money to start a business. You got the money to go, to events. You got the money to hire mentors. And then generational wealth is something that you're born into. It means your family set up assets for you, and now you're reaping the benefits, okay? So you got to say where you are, right? You on public assistance, the entitlement mentality, low income, the fear-based mentality, debt, the lack, okay? The lack, mentality, paycheck to paycheck, where it's never enough. Okay, it's never enough, or the 18 and under, or the zero net worth, zero income, zero assets, zero liability, where you can now get ahead because you don't have nothing anyway. You can get ahead. See, the people on public assistance, they have the government to take care of them. So they feel like I have something. People on public assistance got big flat screen TVs. They rock Jordans. They buy Louis Vuitton and they buy the new lace wigs all the time and all that. So they in the free mentality. They on Section 8. They rent is paid for life and all that. So they have the entitlement mentality where everything's supposed to be free. Those people can't get ahead ever. Okay, because they're not gonna buy a course, they're not gonna invest in a mentor, they're not gonna go to a seminar, they're not gonna start a business. Okay, because anything, right, that's required, of them to be successful, they think is gonna be handed to them. So they will never get ahead. So people on public assistance, forget about it. They're done. They're going to pass that down to their children, and then it becomes a generational curse of dependent on the government and entitlement mentality. Low income, now the only thing about low income, you're thinking in lack. So you don't have the brain capacity to start to even think positive. You don't have the brain capacity, to start thinking bigger. You don't have the brain capacity to start thinking, like a millionaire. But you can do it, right? If you're willing to sacrifice, right? You might have to sacrifice for a year. You may have to sacrifice for 2 years. But again, most people that literally are low income, they're not thinking about sacrificing nothing but their kids. They're not thinking about sacrificing anything but their time. So in that bracket, you can't get ahead either. Okay, it's very impossible. Okay, then if you always are in debt, that means every year, every month, you can't seem to pay off nothing. That mentality also, you can't get ahead because you're not willing to do new things to get you out of your situation because you're too focused on the bills. Now, the people that live check to check, now, I feel like people that live check to check, the only reason they live check to check is because they priorities. I know people who make 100 grand living check to check. There's people making $1 million a year living check to check. It's not the money; it's the priority. They rather, have a Benz. They rather have a nice house than a nice bank account. They rather have more liabilities than assets. So these people that's living paycheck to paycheck can get ahead if they get a mentor to help them prioritize. Okay, if they get a mentor to help them prioritize. Now, the people that have zero net worth, zero assets, zero liabilities, zero income, you can start, right, and start learning on YouTube for free how to get ahead. Okay, people that got money, of course, they can get ahead and they can continue to get ahead. People that's financially independent, of course, they can get ahead. They can keep getting ahead, keep investing in themselves, keep doing what they need to do, keep applying, for credit and credit cards and, their credit limit and stuff like that's going up. Of course, they can get ahead. People that have generational wealth, of course, you can get ahead. Of course, right? Because you were born in ahead, right? So, of course, you can get ahead and keep going. So, you got to figure out where you are. Okay, there's 8 levels to this. You got to figure out where you are. If you're on public assistance, you got a long way to go. If you're low income, under 35,000, you got a long way to go. If you're in debt all the time, you got a long way to go. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you halfway there. Okay, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're halfway there. If you're zero net worth, zero assets, zero, income, literally, you are at the best place to start to get ahead. Of course, if you got money, you definitely are ahead. You're financially independent, you definitely get ahead. If you're building for generational wealth or you were born into generational wealth, guys, it's more easier to get ahead. So that's the wealth pyramid. Figure out where you are, guys, and where you desire to be. Right? I want to be a generational wealth. So when I die, I want my kids to say, you know what? My mom left us some houses. My mom left us some stocks. My mom left us some gold. My mom left us a life insurance policy. My mom left us some stuff, right? Some assets that's producing income that we can continue, to have, and we can continue to build upon that. So right now, I'm right above, the zero net worth, right? Because I got some coins, right? And I can be able to invest in myself, right? I'm working on financially independent. I'm working on generational wealth. So where are you? Figure where you are. Public assistance is entitlement. Low income is lack-minded. Debt is also lack-minded. Check to check is a priority issue. You may not think in lack when you have check to check, right? You may just have a priority issue. Okay, and if you have zero income, you're at the best place because now you have nothing. And now you can get everything. Okay, you don't have nothing stopping you, no debt, no kids, no nothing. Okay? So for you people that have 18-year-olds, don't push your kid to go to college and they don't want to. Don't tell your kid, oh, the only way to succeed is college and it's not. Stop doing that to our kids. We're only hurting our children. Okay? So this is the wealth pyramid, guys. Figure out where you are so that you can go to a new place here so that your money can grow, so that you can really start to build wealth. See you guys soon.